Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another live webinar session brought to you by EE Tech Media and allaboutcircuits.com. Today, we're joined again by Cary Horan from Omron. Let me tell you a little bit about our presenter before we go into the session entitled Sensing Technology in Patient Monitoring Applications. Our presenter today is Cary Horan. He attended the Georgia Institute of Technology, where he obtained his Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering, and he's currently the Business Development Manager for Omron, serving as America's technical contact for Omron's diverse sensor product offerings. He has expertise in the manufacturing field, including IoT, healthcare, and agriculture applications. Really looking forward to this session here with you today, Cary. And for everyone who's in attendance, we will have a live Q&A that follows this live session that you're about to watch. So make sure to use that Q&A tab to submit any questions that you might have, and looking forward to that once we get to hear from Cary here. And with that, Cary, I'll hand it off to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Max, and thank you very much, everybody, for attending this webinar. We're very excited to share some of the details and some of the updated information that we have on our B5L time-of-flight sensor, as well as the software that we've added on to make it very well suited for healthcare and people monitoring applications. So as Max said, this is Sensing Technology and Patient Monitoring Applications, and I'd love to get started with talking a little bit about who we are. The agenda for today's meeting, or for today's webinar, we'll be talking a little bit about the history of Omron. I'll talk about our B5L time-of-flight sensor and the application that we're looking to incorporate with our human pose estimation software, the key benefits, and who we are looking for to work with in the future. So a little bit of background on Omron. We have been pursuing innovation driven by social needs, creating a better society. We have four main divisions. Our healthcare business, which provides a comprehensive lineup of healthcare products for home and hospital use. Our digital blood pressure monitors and thermometers may be in your homes as well. These can be purchased at many different big box stores. Our social systems, solutions, and services business takes care of offering social infrastructure systems for a safer, more comfortable society. For those of you who have been fortunate enough to visit Japan, the ticket taker machines at every train station includes Omron technology. Our industrial automation business is our largest operation. It's our mainstay business innovating global manufacturing through factory automation. And what I come representing is our device and module solutions business. This covers a lot in our electromechanical components, as well as our different modules that we have been developing in recent years. Our different products include our relays, which is our largest business, including our general purpose relays, MOSFET relays, and our solid state relays. Our switches, with our trigger switches, our small tactile switches, which you can find in many keyboards and mice, computer mice. And our different connectors, our D-sub connectors, our USB ports, and then our sensors. That's where I come from in our product management side, but we'll be talking about our time-of-flight sensor today. So this, we'll be going over an overview of our B5L time-of-flight sensor. This is our latest in optical and object detection technology. Our time-of-flight sensor is an optical sensor that utilizes the time-of-flight method for real-time 3D environment sensing. This sensor is capable of detecting stationary or moving objects and people as it's operating at a rate of about 20 frames per second. And using the time-of-flight method, we're able to offer a 2D image to the user, as well as generate a 3D point cloud, so you can really see all angles of the environment in front of it. We originally designed this product for robot navigation, but as we've seen a lot of demand for human detection and person tracking, we've been able to incorporate our HPE software that we'll talk about later in the presentation to be more effective in human body detection. This is key for monitoring and observation, especially in healthcare applications, as you're looking to monitor patients who are under care, especially over 24-hour periods. So I've been talking a lot about the time-of-flight method. For those of you who aren't familiar, time-of-flight is a method of collecting distance data through LEDs and sensing. So unlike optical sensing, which is just able to generate a 2D image of what you see in front of it, the time-of-flight method is actually gathering distance data. So it's able to capture the space in a room and the objects that are in front of it. So on our sensor, you see a square lens and a circular lens. Behind the rectangular lens, we have an LED array that projects outward, reflecting off of objects in front of the array. And the detector measures the time it takes for the light to travel back to the sensor from the object. So the flight that it's actually measuring, the flight time, is the speed of light as it travels, bouncing off of an object and coming back. These LED lights are flashing at about 20 frames per second, which is how we're able to capture images in real time. So using this data, sensor is calculating the distance again, and no visual data is actually being processed here. So not only have we been able to develop a very effective piece of hardware, the software capabilities that we've included in this coding has made it a very accurate sensor in various different applications. We have two charts here detailing some of our lab testing. With distance accuracy, we've been testing and getting very accurate results on what the sensor is giving back to us versus what the actual measurement of the distance of an object is, up to 6 meters away. 6 meters is generally what we see in our specifications for object detection. However, we see other circumstances and ideal circumstances, the sensor working at much larger distances. We also have a viewing compensation software that's added on to look at different objects no matter what angle they're at. So we've tested this by having boards that are facing straight onto the sensor and at various different angles to make sure that the sensor is still able to capture the object at various angles to make sure that you can have an effective viewing of the environment that's in front of you. So we'll bring us to our first poll question that should pop up. What function of the B5L sensor do you find to be most important in your application? Is it 3D image sensing? I need to be able to detect a 3D point cloud of an environment. Body tracking, I need to be able to track people as they move within a space. Light immunity, I need the sensor to function in bright environments. Or real-time capture, I need the sensor to be able to detect objects as they appear. I'll give everybody a few minutes to answer that poll question. All right. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the project that we have been working on for the time-of-flight sensor. As healthcare advances, we've been seeing a greater need for devices that can easily monitor patients' health from a distance. Devices monitoring patient vitals and activity are already becoming more prevalent, even in consumer-grade products. We see in the Apple Watch or Fitbit, we have a lot of different devices that are tracking our motion and being able to see what our vitals are looking at. However, especially in the wake of COVID, we've been looking for a lot of different devices that can really effectively monitor patient activity from afar. This is also coming in part with the continuing rising age of population that is affecting all different countries. As we're needing to find different methods to really take care of our loved ones as they grow older, we're looking for devices that can not only tell us their vital and important information, but also be able to make sure that they're not in any present danger at the moment. So we're looking for a solution that provides necessary data as well as comfort for both the patient, the doctor, and their loved ones. So with that, we have brought in our human pose estimation software. This is a software overlay that's on our existing B5L time-of-flight sensor. And so what it's being used is to track body position in real time. A lot of this software is based on our OCal facial recognition software, but using the distance data, we can still track the body position even though there's no actual face data that's being projected and no visual data that's being gathered by the sensor. The software can track up to 3 people at once, and it distinguishes the body even when it's partially obscured. But instead of me telling you about it, let's bring up a couple of videos that'll showcase exactly how the sensor is working. For this next video, this comes with a little bit of audio. It details a little bit more about the sensor capabilities and does some more demonstration, especially as we look into situations with 3 people. This video will showcase Omron's B5L time-of-flight sensor and its pose estimation technology for body tracking applications. The time-of-flight sensor uses AI-based algorithms to optimize human position recognition. Omron's own pose estimation evaluation software can display 13 skeleton points on a body within frame. The image of the evaluation software is displayed side by side with the image captured by a video camera at the same time. The left image is based on the evaluation software for pose estimation. The right image is with a standard video camera. The skeleton points based on the evaluation software track various actions performed by the subject. In this segment, a person approaches the model and moves away from it. A person sitting or standing from a chair. Whether sitting in a chair or walking around, the pose estimation software differentiates the chair from the person's feet. Here we have a person squatting and laying down with the software continuing to track their movements. The skeleton points will display for up to 3 people simultaneously. As the 3 people move around, the skeleton points track each person individually. The system continues tracking as they sit, lie down, and squat. The position coordinates for 13 skeleton points are output respectively on the software. Human posture recognition is optimized using Omron's own AI-based algorithms and human pose estimation software. All right, a little extra voiceover from me as well for that portion of the presentation. One thing to note about that video, and these images have come up before, you can see how that overlay as opposed to the one before was in color versus the black and white. The color option is an overlay that we've chosen to more demonstrate easily the actual distance data, with red being much closer to the frame and blue being further away. A common question that gets popped up is, does the time-of-flight sensor measure temperature? And unfortunately, that was not a thermal camera, but just as a way to better illustrate the distance that's being captured by the time-of-flight sensor. But the real star of the show of that video is our human pose estimation software that, again, we're very happy to be talking about today. So a couple of general specifications on where the software stands now. Right now, it's gathering 13 different points. That's the head, neck, elbow, shoulder, and hand of each arm, pelvis, knee, and ankle of each leg. If there are 7 points of that body that's being detected, then the sensor will be able to track that it is a person. So that's why you see when the person is crouched down, or in the case of a person is behind part of the bed or a sofa or any other piece of furniture, the sensor is still able to detect if the person is there, as long as those 7 points of contact, 7 points of the body are visible. It is able to detect up to 3 people at once, and the output points. Not only is this a visual overlay, but because the sensor is still capturing that distance data, each point will actually be given a specific position on the point cloud. So not only are you getting the overlay of the body detection, but you're also able to get the exact positioning of the points of the body on the point cloud in the sensor data. So this, including with the detectable postures of sitting down, standing, walking, lying down, make it a very effective tool for human monitoring applications. So the advantages that we can offer here, we're giving patients and loved ones, as well as healthcare workers, a sense of security. We're also able to boost the efficiency of the work of caregivers and improve product value. So while busy care staff is always on the move and not always able to attend to each patient as they need to, especially in the cases where a patient may have fallen and the danger isn't always cited right away, we can use the time-of-flight sensor to really solve a lot of potential issues in the healthcare world. So for family and loved ones, it provides an obvious sense of security. For the caregivers, improving the operational efficiency of the facility that people are being taken care of. And then just improving care systems overall, making it something that is not only going to provide a sense of safety and security, but also a sense of efficiency and mobility. So this brings us to our next poll question. Where do you see the HPE software as it functions within your product? Emergency events, I need to see if someone is in danger or needs assistance. Activity tracking, I need to see if a space is occupied by someone and by how many people. Action estimation, I need to be aware of when someone is performing a specific action, and we'll actually get into a little bit of our action detection add-on that we're looking to incorporate for the upcoming versions of the software. Or general body tracking, I need to be able to evaluate the movement of a person. I'll give everybody a few minutes to answer that. All right. So next we'll move into some of the key benefits of what we're offering with not only the time-of-flight sensor, but with the HPE software. And so what we can offer as advantages of this product is the privacy aspect, the no GPU, so there's no added equipment that's necessary for this sensor, and action estimation, which is a new element that we're incorporating in the upcoming versions of our software. So first, the aspect is privacy. There are a lot of different applications and solutions that are on the market for looking at these applications where you need to monitor someone under care. Some of those solutions are requiring video monitoring. So for somebody who is under 24-hour surveillance, they're going to have a camera that's in their room monitoring them 24/7. And not everybody is going to be okay with that aspect of care. So with the time-of-flight sensor, because it's only capturing distance data, that's not actually able to capture the person's identity. So even though they're still being monitored with their movement, there is a much greater sense of privacy as they're not actually able to be recorded or identified with the sensor information. Next is the no GPU. Many time-of-flight solutions that are on the market today do require another GPU to actually run the body detection software that they're utilizing. This can mean a much more expensive solution. It can include more maintenance as they need to take care of many different products now. And the TOF sensor can run as is without the additional components. And the sensor only requires the additional software package to run. This is a big advantage over more complex solutions. While it isn't capturing that RGB data, which does sacrifice a little bit of accuracy in comparison, we do have a very effective solution with the HPE software in being able to actually track the human pose estimation, only through the distance data and not requiring any extra equipment. And lastly is our action estimation. We have an additional development that will provide basic action estimation that we have been looking and tracking as well before we get into fall detection. So the software will have additional capabilities that people are working towards. The added function means less work needed on the developer end. So with this software that we have looked to provide, we were given people the tools to create a fall detection solution for their healthcare applications. With this latest version of the software that we're looking to release, we're looking to incorporate fall detection as well as specific actions such as sitting up, walking, laying down, to be able to improve upon monitoring the person's movement. We've seen that while fall detection is a very important aspect of healthcare monitoring, there are different actions that can indicate when a person might be in danger of potentially falling and hurting themselves. So looking at other actions, they may indicate various different medical needs situations. We're able to provide a much more complete solution. So that brings us to our final poll question. What is the primary need you have from this sensor and the accompanying software? Are you looking for something that's low cost because there are too many products available that are outside your budget? Low maintenance, I need a long lasting and easy to use product. Or privacy enabled, I need to make sure that my user's data is not compromised. I'll give everybody a few minutes to answer that. All right. So at this point, this concludes the bit of the point of the webinar about the HPE software and healthcare applications. So I want to thank everybody for attending this webinar. And I want to talk a little bit about what we have in the future and what we're looking to implement from our DMS team. So as we continue development on the HPE software, we're always hard at work looking for the next big thing. One I'd like to talk about is our motor condition monitoring solution for detecting vibration levels in machine operation. We're offering this in industrial solutions for monitoring the lifespan of equipment, looking at the changes in behavior as a machine goes through normal wear and tear, and being able to effectively monitor machine health. And then for oil health, our optical sensor. This is our latest in optical sensing technology with the B5WC sensor. By gathering RGB values, the sensor is able to look at oil life, and as oil progresses through its lifespan, starts getting darker and dirtier, the RGB sensor would be able to monitor that from afar and be able to provide that data to somebody at a central database, so that no longer are you going to need to visit machine to monitor oil health. With the RGB sensor, we're looking to make that process much easier. To stay up to date on all of our different products, I encourage everybody to check out our Component Insider. That is a newsletter that we release detailing a lot of our new and exciting products that we are looking to release from the DMS side. And for any information on our products, please visit our website at components.omron.com. Thank you very much. My name is Cary Horan, Business Development Manager for Omron. If you have any questions, please, we have some time to go over a lot of the questions that have been pouring in so far. But if we are unable to get to your question, or if you have anything else you'd like to ask, please, I encourage you to reach out at cary.horan@omron.com. Thank you very much. I'll pass it back to you, Max.
Thank you very much, Cary. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Great. Well, that was a spectacular presentation, and I think the sheer number of questions that I'm seeing coming in speaks to that as well. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. Everyone in our audience, if you have any other questions, we do have some time. And Cary, let's start making a dent in some of these questions here. First one that I'm seeing is, the question is there concern with the time-of-flight sensor's accuracy not capturing RGB values?
Yes. So this is a question that we do get. A lot of time-of-flight sensors that are available on the market are also capturing the RGB values. However, with our sensor, since we are just capturing the distance data, it becomes a sensor that is still effective at capturing that real-time view without processing too much data. So while we're getting into, while we see a lot of products that are very technologically advanced, as data becomes a much more valuable tool in different applications, we're going to be needing devices that are able to get that same information, but at a much lower cost of data processing. So our time of flight sensor, we've seen and we've proven to still be very accurate and very effective, especially for different applications for monitoring the basic motion of not only other objects, but of people in the frame.
Great, thank you. I'm seeing a few more questions here. Let's talk about some software questions. Are we able to get the latest software updates with the action estimation to test?
Yes, so we have our software, our basic framework of our software has been completed. We have actually been releasing it already to several people who have been doing their own field testing. If you are interested in getting a time-of-flight sensor of your own, as well as looking to test the HPE software, we are very happy to provide the latest version that we are working on. We are finding a lot of very successful testing applications as is, but we're always looking to get it in your hands to see how well it works in your system, and we can work with you on getting things optimized for your setup.
Another question is, again, about the software. Is this a single purchase or a subscription basis, or what's the model there?
At the moment, it is a single purchase software. It would be just used for the time of flight sensor that is also purchased. Excuse me. However, we are still very much in the early days of this software. So at the moment, it is just a single purchase.
Got it. Now, what about, someone is asking, what about using this outside of medical applications?
Yes, outside of medical applications, perfectly viable solution. We have seen a lot of attention in the medical space for person monitoring applications. So that's generally where our focus has been in terms of testing and optimizing. However, we do see some more general applications, those in, for example, in advertising, or those in just general person activity. So the time of flight sensor can actually be with the HPE software can be great for any type of person monitoring application.
Got it. Let's see. Another one I'm seeing is, can the HPE software provide basic information about the people being tracked?
So in terms of what the sensor is able to provide, we are really able to detect the person activity and how they are moving. However, in terms of the basic information such as gender or identity or age, there's not a whole lot that's able to be, or really not anything that's able to be gathered by the time of flight sensor. So that's actually where we find our advantages in that privacy aspect of it's not actually being able to gather that information about a person because it's only capturing the distance data.
Yeah, makes sense. Sometimes less is more in these fields.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Another question here. Will the sensor be able to keep track of people even when they leave the sensor's field of view?
So yeah, similarly to the last question, it's not at this point able to do that. Because it's again only capturing that movement data, that motion. If a person leaves frame and comes back, they're not going to be able to recognize it as the same person. So again, while there are some applications that want to track it, we do see it as an advantage for other applications where privacy is more of a concern.
Great. Trying to organize some of these questions here, Cary. We've still got quite a few that we can go through.
Oh, yeah.
Another question is, can the time of flight sensor penetrate obstacles, such as in a non-LOS, which I'm guessing is line of sight environment?
Unfortunately, no. The time of flight sensor would be the light would actually be reflecting off of the object. So it wouldn't be able to penetrate any different types of objects. It could potentially, if the object was porous, like a screen, detect motion behind that. However, I will say if you're looking at non-line of sight environments, and if two different sensors at two different viewing angles is an option for you, I will say that two sensors, and frankly up to 17, but maybe that's a little bit of overkill, but two sensors would be able to work simultaneously with one another without the signals interfering. So with multiple sensors, you can capture multiple angles and still get that effective data without any of the information conflicting with one another.
I think this ties into another question that I'm seeing here. I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. Is there a rule of thumb for one sensor per person, 7 people per sensor? Is there a certain number that you're thinking as you're building up an ecosystem? Is there a rule of thumb for that?
We don't really have a rule of thumb for that in terms of, tracking a large network of people. The main guidelines that we have in terms of sensor setup is, again, 17 over 17 in a singular environment. You're probably going to get a lot more chances of interference, but only the viewing angle and the space that you're looking at is going to be the main constraint of how you're going to be tracking people.
Great. A couple more follow-ups from this person. How long do the sensors last for, and are they waterproof?
They are unfortunately not waterproof. And as for lasting capabilities, we have done a lot for the B5L the B5L sensor and making it a long-lasting product. Under continuous operation, the sensor can go about 5 years. So we have a very good lifespan for the time-of-flight sensor. About 5 years, and that's continuous operation is the lifespan of the sensor.
Great. Let's see here. I'm going to pull us back to the first video again, Cary.
Okay.
And we'll keep it paused here, but I have a couple questions. One person said that they missed the audio that you were going through here. So if you'd maybe be able to just hop back in for a quick summary of what you were talking about for this video, that could be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talked about the software later in the presentation, we mentioned that it's tracking 13 different body points on the person. It's the head, the neck, the shoulder, elbow, and hand, the pelvis, the knee, and the leg. And then knee, leg, arm on both sides here. As long as you have 7 points visible, the sensor is able to track the position of the person. So you see, even though the legs are not actually visible on this person, it's still able to track their position as they're crouched down.
Got it. And then another question that came in, I think when you were first showing this video, this person said, I noticed a lot of jitter during the body tracking video. Do you have algorithms or anything that deal with that? Or I don't know if that also could have just been the video as it was displaying on our screens here.
Sure. There was. I'm not sure if that was asked. Earlier on, there was a lot of jitter in terms of the video. I think it wasn't loading too properly. But I will note that there are points where there is a little bit of the jitter in the software that I see in this video. I will point out that this is one of our early testing videos, while the next video I show with the voiceover that. I won't pull up that again. The audio will overlay with one another. But that was a later version of our software that was operating much more smoothly. So I do have this video here that is a quick and easy early demonstration of our software. But we have since and continue to improve upon the algorithms to keep that detection much more consistent.
Got it. A couple more questions. I'm going to jump to some that I think are pretty germane to the video that we have on screen. I know we talked about this some, but I'll just bring it up again. Is this strictly body tracking, and is there any monitoring of vital signs? And they're saying particularly respiratory rate or heart rate. I think that we've covered that the answer to that is no. But do you know if there are any other sensing solutions that Omron offers for that kind of tracking?
In terms of that kind of tracking, we do have our OCal facial recognition software, which has been something that's been a mainstay for our company for quite some time. And we have been asked questions about that incorporating in healthcare as well. I would say that would be closer to a solution, but even then, we don't have a solution that's able to track that the pulse and the vital signs from afar. Although it's something we have been looking into. Our healthcare division is also one that's our division that's been much more focused on applications that are closer aligned with that. And they've been making a lot of progress as well. I don't know if they offer a specific solution for that. But I will say with our time of flight sensor, again, since it's only capturing that distance data, the subtleties of the heart rate or core temperature, for instance, is unfortunately missed with the distance data that's being captured. Although, great question, and something that we are hoping to find a solution for at some point.
Perfect. Let's see. The next question I think I'll go to is, this is going back to the waterproof question. I just think this is an interesting question. Even though it's not waterproof, can you track movements in water through a transparent window?
That is a very interesting question, actually. I would say that we should get back to you on that one, which thankfully we'll have some of the information here, so I'll be able to get back to you. That is not something I don't think we've been able to test in that specific environment, but it is something that does intrigue me, and if our sensor is capable of doing that. So that's a very good question, and not one I unfortunately have an answer for right now.
No problem. We'll make sure you get connected and can find out the answer to that. That's why I love these live Q&As. Another question here, Cary. We've been talking about medical. Do you have plans to use this in more industrial or mechanical outdoor uses, anything like that?
As far as industrial and mechanical, that is always an option. We are looking for ways that we can incorporate the time of flight sensor there. So in terms of seeing if there is an application, frankly, if ever I get a question that is, can it be used in this application? We're always willing to try that out. Also someone we can get in touch with to learn a little bit more about the application and see how well it'd be able to work for it. For outdoor use, it is a little bit trickier. The sensor can, it does really kind of depend on, again, what the application is and what we're looking for. So we do have an idea to get this involved in different industrial applications. We'll see when we get in touch.
Great. Another question that's come in is talking about lighting. Is the sensor performance influenced by ambient light or bright sunlight, different levels of lighting across different rooms?
So great question. And no, it is not. We have the sensors capable of running in up to 100,000 lux. That's about the size, that's about the volume of direct sunlight. So the sensor is able to work in there, as well as complete pitch darkness. So it's still able to capture that data effectively without being influenced by any different ambient light. Great question.
Perfect. Another question that I'm seeing here, it's kind of a 4-in-1. I'll try to pull it apart here. I'll go through the whole thing and maybe we can break it down piece by piece. Can you describe the software architecture, how you package it? Is there a general SDK, what OS size, different things like that? So maybe we just start with the software architecture and if there are particular operating systems that people need.
Sure. So we do provide an SDK for the HPE software. That would be we would be able to provide it based on the operating system that you have. So Windows or Linux, generally we'd be able to provide for And we would just need to know the basic information about your software setup or your hardware setup and OS system, and we'd be able to provide the SDK for you. That software package, generally what we've been running now, since we've generally been just getting for testing purposes, you get a three-month license on the software solution just for that testing purpose. And then as you continue testing, if it's something that you continue, we just are able to renew the license pretty quickly and easily for you to continue on the testing. So we try and keep it as simple as possible, and we try and work with whatever your needs are.
You might not know this off the top of your head. Is there a standard size for the SDK?
I don't know that off the top of my head, no.
No worries. We can get you connected there with Jonathan, who asked that question. Great question. I've still got plenty more, Cary. We've got some time, so let's keep going. This is fantastic.
Let's do it.
Is there anything like fall detection that comes in with this sensing system?
Yes, when that is the action estimation that we are looking to provide in there. So again, the original version of this software that we have generally been releasing is just been giving us the coordinates of the body pose so that other users can incorporate their own fall detection software. With our latest version of the software that we're looking to release with the action estimation, that will include a fall detection or fall estimation. And when that fall occurs, the software would send an alert to the user that a fall has taken place.
Got it. Another question, I think, coming off of the light environment question that we were talking about, would this work in a steamy room or maybe when it's foggy?
So steam and fog is going to be a little trickier to work with because it is operating on gauging the time of flight of the light path. That light, as it gets diffused with the steam and fog, is going to make it really difficult to get accurate data. I would check with our engineers, or at least I will check with our engineers and see if there is a limitation on how foggy a room needs to be. I'm actually not sure if there is a specific measurement for that. But I think that's going to be a difficult application for the time-of-flight sensor.
Got it. Let's see here. Can you use the sensor directly as a bare bone to get raw data?
Yes. So the sensor can be used on its own. I'm assuming this is on its own without the HPE software. And yes, the sensor can be purchased on its own. And you can just collect the object data that's in the room without detecting any of the other added information.
Let's see some more coming back a bit to software side of things. Are there any cloud capabilities or backend capabilities here?
I believe so, yes. So it should be able to have that backend capability, although that's something I would have to confirm.
Got it. Now, let's see. We've got one more question here, Cary. And the question is, what wavelength do you prefer, or should people be, or will people be working with for the B5 LTOF?
That is LED wavelength, I believe. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's yes. So it's just simple LED wavelength for the time-of-flight sensor.
Got it. Well, Cary, we made it through that excellent bevy of questions, really good engagement from the audience. We can give people maybe one more minute here if we have anything else that's coming up. But Cary, is there anything you want to make sure we touch on here as we might be coming to a close of the session?
Nothing else I want to touch on. I just want to thank everybody for attending and for your great participation. And I'm very happy to be able to talk about this software release and the milestones that we're coming to with our sensor and the software package. So very looking forward to working with everybody here and answering all your questions and working with you on some future applications.
Great. Well, I want to close out by thanking Omron and Cary. Thank you for joining us here today. And most of all, I want to thank our audience for making this a great session. We had a really good turnout, as we always do for your sessions, Cary. So it's been a pleasure going through these questions with you. Recommend that people go check out the other webinars that are on Omron's page on allaboutscircuits.com. Cary has done probably half dozen of these and always has a good session and conversation to come up. So make sure to check out the other content that they've got out there as well. For EE Tech Media and allaboutscircuits.com, we want to thank you for joining us for this live webinar session today. And we look forward to seeing you at another session again sometime soon.